Tensions certainly are high. The international pressure is there, and there is a necessity to get aid into the Gaza Strip, but to make sure it gets specifically to civilians. Your assessment on what is going down as we speak inside Gaza?
Well, first of all, there was always aid being sent to the Gaza Strip, always aid being delivered to the Gaza Strip, not necessarily being distributed among the civilians within Gaza. The reason that we can rest assured that that was the case is that the most senior advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu affixed as an imperative for Israel to be able to defend itself on 7 fronts, as it has been doing since October 7th, the need to supply humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip and to prevent a humanitarian crisis from coming about. Now, the fact is that we're in the midst of a campaign of delegitimization against Israel, against the Israel Defense Forces. I'm not surprised by that. And I think that that pressure has brought us to a somewhat lamentable situation, because when you start to parachute aid into the Gaza Strip, the inference that the international community will take and ride forward is that, of course, Israel is now doing this because of the pressure that we applied, and it's having to do so because aid was not being supplied into the Gaza Strip and distributed to the Gazan civilians. Now, that's not the case, but the pictures will look that way. One other thing, I can tell you from personal experience, when I was in service as a young soldier, I was once a young soldier in the Second Lebanon War in 2006, our supply chains were compromised. And so the Israel Defense Forces would actually parachute food for our consumption into the field in Lebanon. It's a highly imprecise campaign. You do not know where it's going to end up going. And quite often we'd have to launch almost search and rescue operations, go and find these foods and food supplies and find these rations. So I don't think that this will alleviate what's going on inside the Gaza Strip in terms of world opinion. And I think it's regrettable that we've had our back pushed to the wall so much so that we've resorted to this.
Over and above everything else, certainly appears to be a PR disaster, not to mention what actually is happening on the ground. Jonathan, your take. Benjamin Netanyahu saying Israel will ensure lots of aid gets to Gaza, but so many question marks over what is happening. Your assessment, your take.
It's this whole thing of too little, too late, reacting, the Prime Minister sort of basically bowing to international pressure and the other day making a statement to alluding that he agrees that that's why he's doing it. The fact of the matter is, it's not a PR disaster, it's a shambles. It is a lack of coherent policy. It's not even the strategy of how you go about your policy. It's this lack of policy that Israel has had the whole time, of having a clear message that, the fundamental of any campaign is one message 500 times, not 500 messages once. And Israel has just no policy. It doesn't really matter that still Israel is trying to portray itself as a victim. The world doesn't believe it. Israel needs to address this issue now. It's never too late to start a campaign. It's never too late to have a coherent policy. It's never too late to have an organized strategy, but that strategy has to be from the top, from every single person saying the same thing, doesn't matter what the question is, and it has to be done in a smart way.
I would just say that while Israel's absolutely notorious for not being particularly cogent or effective when it comes to international media and the way in which we're covered, I have no expectation that the international community will be supportive of the State of Israel or the Israel Defense Forces in any way, shape or form in this prolonged war for our existence. And I would push back slightly. Israel does have a very coherent series of war aims. The war aims are to bring back our hostages. Those hostages are being starved. They're being denied humanitarian aid. The international community might have forgotten. Let me finish. That's fine. The international community might have forgotten that. I haven't forgotten it. And the second aim is to topple Hamas. We haven't achieved any of those. Never was there an aim put forward of making the international community love us as we pursued those 2 war goals.
Your thoughts quickly.
Again, I mean, look, Benjamin's not saying things that are specifically wrong, but the fact of the matter is you have to differentiate between your war goals and your PR strategy. And you cannot just say, well, getting the hostages back is part of our PR strategy.
The outcry that we didn't hear so much at the beginning of this war, and I hasten to add that Israel's job at PR, as we are calling it, was much better at the start of the war than it is right now.
The closest that any other country in the world, including pariah states, has to a PR department is the Ministry of Tourism. Only of the State of Israel is it expected that we have a public relations campaign that can somehow undo centuries deep anti-Semitism and Jew hatred that obviously is going to escort the Jewish story from the diaspora to the very state of Israel. I would much rather have a secure state of Israel, bring our hostages back and destroy this enemy called Hamas that is right on our borders, than have the international community sing our praises were we to surrender to the dictates of this terrorist organization. One moment, please. That's the first thing. And I strongly, strongly support those two war aims still being pursued. I don't think that the people of Israel or the state of Israel will be able to regain its full height, return to its full height, without the return of these hostages, who I remind everybody are being starved. They are the ones who are being starved. They are the ones who are being kept in conditions of utter, complete and total depravity. And if Hamas wanted to alleviate the suffering of their people, the vast majority of whom, incidentally, are supportive of Hamas and were supportive of what Hamas did on October the 7th, then they have a means of doing so. Lay down their weapons, disarm, and give us our hostages back, both the living and the dead. Those hostages are innocent. And with regard to the international community, I did media reporting and analysis for the BBC. Jonathan and I are both from the land of the BBC. We understand what this is all about very, very well. For the BBC, for Sky News and other peer networks overseas, by October the 10th, they were accusing us of too heavy a response against the Gazan population. We hadn't even sent ground forces into the Gaza Strip by that stage. So nothing that we can do will convince them. We have to remain sedulously attached to our war aims. The PR campaign, I must tell you, is secondary in my opinion.
I just would add that you say, look, you have to come at it from a point of strength, basically, and you're right, you do. This narrative still that we're a victim, it doesn't hold water. Israel has tanks, Israel has F-35s, Israel has the strongest military in the entire region, and we're still portraying ourselves as a victim. And you're right, we have to come out with strength, and through strength, you'll be better off.
Growing concern around moves towards a two-state solution.
Complete, total and utter nonsense. Any entity that would storm across a border, given half a chance, murder 1,200 people, kidnap 252 people, including men, women, toddlers, Holocaust survivors, that entity then returning to the Gaza Strip, Hamas committing those atrocities, then returning to the Gaza Strip and being applauded, lauded, and feted by a preponderance of the Gazan people, that entire entity is disqualified, in my opinion, from ever having a state in any borders whatsoever. It's as simple as that. Now, the people here in the United Nations who are debating this issue, they are products of the elite university academic system throughout European countries. They have no vision. They have a neurosis. The neurosis is to continually repeat a call for the impossible, the impracticable, the unjust, namely a two-state solution. And one final thing. They all, the European countries, have a very real concern. They are being Islamified. They're going to have Islamic jihadist states within their own midst that they're going to have to conjure with. Let them first support that. Then maybe Israel will follow.
30 seconds, your thoughts on exactly that.
That may be all true, but at the end of the day, they're the ones making decisions, and therefore we have to engage with it.
They're not making any decisions. They don't make any decisions. No, they don't make any binding decisions.
Just because we don't like them doesn't mean they're not making decisions.
Jonathan, they don't make any binding decisions.
It may not be binding.
It
may not be binding that tomorrow you're going to have a Palestinian land. But we have to. Israel has to engage. Listen, it's very clear.
Israel's engaged. Dismissed it. Hold on.
President Macron. It's very clear. He's in 24% popularity in his own country. He can't go right. He wants to cancel holidays within France because he knows he's got economic problems. The only way he can go is appease the large Muslim community. We know that it's a farce. We know that it's ridiculous. And yet, this is what happens when we don't have a clear policy on how to engage.